Today, we're going to talk about something that I think every single one of us struggles with, whether we want to admit it or not. We're talking about authenticity, vulnerability, and the power of being seen. And when I say the power of being seen, I'm not talking about just in your Instagram highlight reel. I'm talking about in your truth, in your softness, in your messiness. When things aren't so pretty, being authentic, being vulnerable, it's not just about appearing real on Instagram. It is about really stepping into your power as who you really are. It's about living unmasked even when it's scary. But here's the thing. We think that vulnerability is the risk, when in reality, hiding is far more dangerous. Authenticity is the foundation. It is who you are. Whereas vulnerability is the expression. It's what you choose to reveal from that place. When you can learn to embrace the two, you become limitless and your life becomes lighter. So if you're ready to learn how to step into your power, then you know what time it is. It's time to get comfortable, grab a snack, grab something to drink. It's time to tune in and shift with me. Welcome back to the On Some Real Shift podcast, where I have real conversations on what it takes to shift your mindset and uplevel your emotional and spiritual life. I'm your host, Vanessa. I'm a certified life coach, mindset coach. I do NLP. I'm a Reiki and sound bath healer, but most importantly, I am a student of the university. Welcome back, my friends. Before we get started, can we take a look at my shirt? She's cute. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just excited. It's starting to get warm out, so I think I need to get some tank tops or at least some short sleeve shirts. What do you think? Anywho, let's get right into it. So why do we hide in the first place? Most of us were taught, whether indirectly or directly, that it is safer to hide, that it is safer to perform than to just be, that if we're perfect and that we're polished and pleasing, then we will be accepted, that we will really be loved, that we'll be praised. But what people fail to realize is what they're really teaching us is when you're constantly performing, you are outsourcing your worth. What you're saying is, let me be who you want me to be so I don't risk rejection. Let me be who you want me to be because that's more valuable than who I really am. And listen, I get it because vulnerability can feel super exposing. It can feel like walking into a room naked emotionally. I want to challenge you. I want you to ask yourself, what is it really costing you? Think about it. What is it really costing you? Because while hiding might feel like it's protecting you from rejection, while it might feel like it's keeping you safe, it is actually also protecting you from experiences, from love, from friendship that is actually destined to be yours. It's keeping you from connection. It's keeping you from truth because it is disconnecting you from you. How can anything that is authentically yours supposed to find you if you can't be authentically you, if you are not being authentically you? It doesn't know where to go. It doesn't know where to look. So let's talk about authenticity versus vulnerability. Authenticity is this buzzword that we've been hearing, especially on social media, especially on like TikTok. I always hear the way to go viral on TikTok is being authentic. Sure, love that for y'all. But I don't want you to think of authenticity as a trend. It's not something that you do in a caption or a bio or a video. This is really a deep spiritual practice. Being authentic really is about being in alignment. It is saying, I am who I say I am, even when nobody is looking. It's telling the truth even when it's uncomfortable. It's owning your story without apologizing for it. It's showing up messy and still believing, still knowing that you are worthy. When you are inauthentic, even when you're successful, it creates this kind of quiet suffering. It will slowly chip away at you, I promise. Because deep down, you're going to feel that misalignment. Deep down, you are going to know that you are not fully being honest with yourself. You know, when I think about it, authenticity really is the antidote to imposter syndrome because it does not require perfection. It requires you to give yourself permission. It requires for you to give yourself permission to be human, to be whole, to be present, and to be here. And that is pretty much the opposite of imposter syndrome, which demands this perfection, this perfect view of you at all times. So like I said, authenticity is who you are. Now, vulnerability. This is the part that most people run away from. Number one, it's because I think a lot of people think vulnerability is weak, and it's the complete opposite. Being vulnerable is extremely challenging. If it was so easy to do, everybody would be doing it. So I want you to reframe it. Next time you start calling yourself weak for being vulnerable, I want you to say vulnerability is not weakness. It is a form of emotional leadership. Let's start here. Now, I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about the most powerful or impactful conversations that you have had. Just think about it for a minute. I guarantee you those conversations were not about somebody's resume, for instance. I guarantee you they weren't about the weather. I guarantee you they weren't about your favorite color. They were about something real and they were rooted in connection. And here's the thing, vulnerability creates connection. It builds trust. And most importantly, builds a safe space for yourself. When you allow yourself to fully be seen, you are no longer betraying yourself. You are no longer betraying yourself to be accepted by others. And listen, vulnerability does not mean you need to come to the internet and tell us your deepest, darkest secret, okay? That's not what it's about. But vulnerability is asking you to show up as yourself and have the courage to be misunderstood or rejected and still be willing to show up as yourself. Does that make sense? I'll tell you a quick little story. So I was in this program recently and connected with this young lady through the program. And we DM here and there on some surface level things, right? We both love dogs and food and other things. We don't live in the same state. And we stayed connected and I had to travel to the state that she lives in a couple months into the program. And I messaged her. I said, hey girl, listen, I'm going to be in your state. Would love to meet you for coffee if you have time. She said, absolutely, come over, we'll chat. So I did. Showed up at her house. We sat and talked in her living room for like 5 or 6 hours, as if we had been friends for 4 or 5 years at least. I felt like I was visiting my friend that I hadn't seen in a few years, but this was the first time that we had met. This was one of the juiciest, most fun, soul-filling experiences and conversations that I have had with a friend in who knows how long, if and possibly ever. And she and I kind of share the same sentiments, and we continue to talk about that day that we met in person. And the foundation of what made the experience and our friendship so beautiful is the fact that we both showed up being both vulnerable and authentically ourselves. What it allowed us to do is, number one, it allowed her to see me for me and allowed her to make a full-on judgment on whether I was somebody that she vibed with. And not only did showing up vulnerable and authentic allow us to see each other for who we really are, it also created a safe space for both of us, which only amplified the vibes. It was this safety net that we both created for each other because we were kind of extending each other that same safety, that same level of effort and vulnerability and authenticity. It was saying you're safe here without saying you're safe here, but we were saying it with our energy, if that makes sense. And now she's one of my very best friends because the friendship is really rooted in true authenticity and vulnerability. It's fun, right? It's so nice when you don't have to perform. And you might say, well, hey, Vanessa, what happens if it hadn't gone that way? What if she didn't accept you for who you are? What if she didn't like you for who you are? And to that I say, that would have still been a blessing for me. That still would have been for my benefit. Sure, it would have sucked a little bit, but I know now that that is information that I can use, because all that means is I would not have continued to invest energy into that relationship or as much energy into that relationship. And that just leaves more room for the people who will love me for me authentically. The thing is, we have to become so self-assured in who we are to get there. And it takes work. It takes time. I was not always like this. So I recognize that it's a little bit easier said than done. But if being authentic and vulnerable means I get to have more experiences like that, I'm willing to be open to rejection because those juicy experiences are worth far more than the moments of rejection that are really just clearing the path for me anyway. So I say all of that to say it's scary, but ultimately, either way it goes is for your benefit. We just have to become really self-assured. We have to become so rooted in our self-worth and our self-love, which is ultimately what we always come back to on this channel. And I know I joke about it, but it's true. Like, our self-love and our self-worth is at the basis, at the root of so much of how we govern our lives. So yeah, take from that what you will. When you allow yourself to fully be seen, there's so much power and freedom in just being able to show up and being yourself. And listen, before anybody goes too left with this, I'm not saying that authenticity and vulnerability is an excuse to be an a-hole. Okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is let people love you for who you are. We all make mistakes. We all have room to grow. Let the people who resonate with your vibe find you by being you. You've heard that saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. That's essentially what it's saying. Vulnerability says that I know I might be judged, misunderstood, or rejected, but I'm still willing to show up as me. That's bravery. That's badass. That is not weak. So what's on the other side of all this? Once you stop hiding and start being seen, like I just said, you start to attract people who are more in alignment with who you are to your core, not your mask. It is exhausting to wear a mask all the time. In fact, it'll burn you out. Refer to episode 10. You start to create space for real intimacy and connection, which is ultimately what we are here to do, right? You become magnetic because real authenticity is irresistible. You will start to attract people and opportunities that are in alignment with you because your audience is who is seeking you. And I'll explain. I remember when I had this fear of showing up online before launching the podcast, and I remember seeing a video, and I'll paraphrase, but in short, it was talking about how you never have to worry about people who are not your audience because people who are not your audience are not looking for you. And I thought about it and I said, you know what? She's so right. The people who are not my audience are not looking for me, are not checking for me. Why am I worried about them? I should be concerned with the people that are looking to consume the content that I'm looking to share, the people who do resonate with what I have to share. If you don't vibe with what I'm putting out here and you're still going out of your way to watch what I'm putting out, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's a misalignment in itself, right? And so when she put it in those terms and that perspective, I just kind of took the weight off of other people's thoughts and opinions that, like, they're not seeking what I'm putting out, right? They're not going to find value in what I'm putting out anyway, so why care? I think the last piece to all of this is you just get to breathe. You get to exhale. You get to just be. Like I said, it is exhausting to have to perform all the time. Practicing authenticity and vulnerability really is a daily practice. It is a spiritual practice. It is a way of being. And some days you're going to want to retreat because it's scary. Some days fear is going to creep upon you and tell you, go back to the old you, go back to what you're doing, go hide. Nobody wants to see this. It's safer, put up the walls, but it's not. Those walls are keeping you disconnected. Every time you choose truth over an image, you are reclaiming your power. I want you to ask yourself, what parts of you are you hiding? And why? I want you to ask yourself, what would it mean to be seen there? What would it look like for stop performing and start embodying? What would it feel like? Like, really sit and think about it. What would it feel like? I bet you would be a lot less exhausted. How would it feel to stop playing it safe and start being real? And really, I'm just scratching the surface on the topic because I keep these episodes pretty short, but I'm happy to dive deeper if you want. Just drop it in the comments below. But it can show up in so many ways, right? This could be in regards to a conversation that you've been avoiding having, or maybe it's you finally sharing your story on a social platform, or maybe it's just simply you admitting to yourself that you are tired of pretending. Whatever it is, I'm asking you to give yourself the gift of being seen. And when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself too. There is nothing that I talk about on this channel that I haven't done or that I'm not doing myself, because we are all a work in progress. I want you to give yourself the gift of being seen, even if it is just you to yourself. That's a great place to start. You do not need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be present in your truth. Before I check out, I want you to drop one way you are going to practice being authentic and vulnerable in this upcoming week. Drop it in the comments below. That's the work. I promise you're not alone. As always, I am so grateful for your time. If any of this resonated, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.